Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, everybody. Um, I'm imagining that Myers has got a little bit of technical issues because I haven't seen him pop in yet. But you know, go time is go time. So that's why I started up the live stream. I'm hoping that he'll be able to link in the meantime. But other than that, I just kind of wanted to start off by saying thank you to you guys for being here this morning. Because we're getting close to the end of the year, I guess I'll take this moment to thank everybody that has been supporting me through the last 3 years. I couldn't believe the other day when I got the notification from YouTube that it's been 3 years since I started posting content, and it didn't seem that long, really. It kind of all kind of blends in together, but it's amazing how quickly time flies when you're having a good time. And the reality is it's been a whole lot more good than bad. Uh, it's like everything else, you're gonna have moments, I guess, in your YouTube experience where some distasteful things might happen and stuff like that, especially what recently has been going on. But uh I guess the whole thing behind that is that sometimes you need your friends to kind of hold you accountable for shit you're doing that is not right. and and that's kind of what we did. Um we 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 couldn't let it just kind of keep festering and not address it and not bring um bring that person to face their accountability. There's been some back and forths on communications, and I guess finally they reached a point where they got an ultimatum. They basically were told, and this is not even from me or Funk. Uh, this is, I guess, from what he considers his higher up powers, which it's incredible to me that he went to those lengths, but he did. He reached out to them, and they basically got the whole story and was told to mend what he was doing wrong. So this sudden change of heart that now he's going to make everything right and stuff like that was really motivated from somebody putting their foot down and saying, "Hey, you don't do this. We're definitely not going to be supporting you at all." But it is what it is. The important part of this is that this person, you know, is held accountable for what they did. That they take care of what they promised they were going to do, and then we just move on from it. Yeah, it was from Canada. You're absolutely right. Um, so well, the good thing is he's gonna make amends for what he's done, and at the end of the day, that's all we were asking for. So it's yet it's yet to happen, and hopefully it does, and hopefully this person follows through, which is good. That's the correct thing to do. And then from there on, we just move on. We we just it's done, and that's all there's to it. That person could decide whether they want to continue or not. Hey, Adele, Merry Christmas. Moose, thanks for being here. Funk, thanks for joining in. Yeah, and it's all Funk's fault. It's always Funk's fault. I don't care who does it. It's always Funk's fault. Brian, thanks for joining in. Kyle, Moose, Branton, John, Wally's, thanks for being here. And I think Sam, yeah, Sam and Jeff. Chev's probably going to be watching the replay. But that's not what I planned on doing today, was addressing that issue. But I don't know what happened to Michael Myers. He must be out stalking his next prey or something. But I've kind of reached out to him. I'm waiting for a response. So we'll see if he can make it in. Maybe it wouldn't be the first time I screw up a time. Being that he's in Belgium, that's very possible that I might have might have mixed up the time zones and screwed this up, and told him one time, and I'm actually on before he realized it. Hey, Car, long time no see, man. Glad to see you here. I hope you're doing well, man. And so that was pretty, like I was saying. Other than that, I don't think I've had any. No, I know for a fact I haven't had any bad experiences. Um, it's been awesome getting to know a lot of you guys and being able to have the opportunity to have conversations with you guys. There's still a lot of you guys that I one day would like to be able to sit down. I know I've invited some of you guys, Sam, onto my live streams, but I can understand too that this can be a little bit intimidating, or um, something that not everybody's really willing to do. But other than that, it's just been nothing but awesome. I've gotten to meet some great people, some knowledgeable people. Um, Unfortunately, sometimes people make assumptions that just because you're a little bit older that you must have all the answers and know everything there is to know about the hobby. And the reality, there's a lot of people that have way more knowledge than I think I'll ever assume in the next 10 years. It's just, but that's what's so neat about this. Now I know I've said this before. One of the persons that least gets talked about, and I feel, in my opinion, is a tremendous hobbyist, is Ian from Atkins Aquatics. That young man is the world of knowledge, and it's unfortunate that he doesn't get to display that as much as I think he should. Um, he's a brilliant mind, a brilliant hobbyist. I've gone to him for advice on a couple of things, and never gotten a wrong answer on that. But just like him, I mean, I could go down this list. I would say about 80% of the people here um, know a lot more than what I know. I've learned a lot in the last 3 years. I've been consuming YouTube for almost since inception, but never on the aquatic side. It was always more of entertainment. You know, you would watch a lot of those failed armies kind of things, and you know, you would watch some of the gruesome stuff that was happening in the Baltics. That kind of stuff. But that's what it was, and then it kind of evolved into DIY stuff. I used it a lot to help me repair stuff around the house, or learning how to do some things like that. And eventually I stumbled it back into the hobby. Like I've told you guys before, I kept fish as a teenager. Not very long, maybe about 3 years, a little bit less than that. Um, and then just got out of it because, life took precedence, and I had to do that. And when you don't have your own place, you got certain rules you need to follow, or you just can't do what you want to do. And staying at my parents, there was other obligations that took priority over trying to keep an aquarium. But yeah, it's amazing. In 3 years, if you would have told me when I started this that I'd be where I'm at today, and met most of you guys in one way or another, um, I would have never have believed it. Um, to be able to tap in to your guys' knowledge, um, to be able to have conversations with you guys, whether it's about the fish, or just just to hang out and have a conversation. I'm watching this chat right now, and like people like Jim, people like Moose, who I've actually had an opportunity to hang with them on a live stream. Jesse, Branton, Brian. I mean, I could go continue to read Adele. Um, you know, Almost everybody in here. Car. At one point or another, I've been able to have a conversation with, or be part of a conversation, and nothing but good times, man. Sometimes some of the most memorable moments are usually when you go backstage and you're just doing the hang, and that's when people really cut loose, and 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 that's when. Sorry, I'm not good at multitasking, but I need to drop a link, and at the same time, I'm trying to talk about this. No, that's when you get to know some of the people because cameras are off, and it's not bad. It's not anything bad that's happening, but people tend to open up a little bit more, and it's just it, and it just becomes entertaining as hell, especially because a lot of people are more careful how they speak, which I get it. I get it. It makes total sense. Um, and sometimes the other thing is that sometimes you really can't say what you want on YouTube because it'll stop you for it'll block you. And when you get to hang out backstage, that's when a lot of the times a lot of these real conversations do happen. Instagram VIP chat, yeah. Um, you know, a- and it's been so cool because I've been for the longest time I was like in an island. I didn't have anybody to share this experience with, this hobby with. I know I've said it a bunch of times that in my family, I'm the only one that really keeps aquariums at the bare minimum. Has kept them for much longer than anybody would have had it in our family. So there's nobody to talk to about what you're doing. I mean, it never fails. Hey, Jody, it never fails that you'll get asked, "Hey, what have you been doing?" And you really want to talk about, the new breeding project you got going on and stuff like that. And you'll say, "Oh, and, just working in the fish room." And it's like, "Oh, okay." And that's it. That's where the conversation goes. It ends because they're not interested in that. They call conference squeaks last through the week. uh, and it's just one of those things where you end up just kind of doing the hobby by yourself. Hey, Netro Aquarium, how you doing, man? Uh, we need to set a time for a little chat, and I like to have Netro Aquarium on here. He's in Germany. I really like what he's been doing lately, and so maybe one of these days we'll be able to have him on here so you guys can get to know him, you and I, because I other than a few comments that we've exchanged, it'll be cool to see how the hobby is done in Germany. And let me see. Yeah, he got it. So having this opportunity to connect, let's see, not entertain people by yourself, hogwash. Well, here's the thing though. I don't like just hopping on for the sake of hopping on. And that doesn't, that's not disparaging to anybody else that does it. I just don't personally like doing that because I'd rather, if you're going to come and hang out with me, I like for you guys to have a topic or something that we can discuss, um, and do that. Because then, other than that, it just seems like I'm sitting up here grasping at ideas and trying to create something out of nothing. Um, and I'm not opposed to doing a hangout either, but that's why when I want to do a hangout, I'll post it as a hangout and invite you guys to come on. And um, some of you guys might have the courage that haven't been on to come on, and we'll just have a conversation. Hey, Vigilum. Um, so that's what it was. I don't know if let me see if I'm checking my phone because I'm trying to see if Myers is trying to get a hold of me or not. Um, something must have happened. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if I messed up the time zones. Um, and maybe he's thinking it's an hour later, but I'm trying to read through my messages as to what time did we agree on. And Thursday. Okay, no, that's what we were still trying to. Okay, yeah, I think we had agreed on the time. Well, something must have happened. Shit happens, Life is life, and sometimes we put other things on hold. It's no big deal. If we need to reschedule, we will, and we'll come back at it again. I know somebody was asking me for the link, and I sent it to him. So I'm wondering if he's gonna jump up here or not. If not, then you guys are here. I could always do an unscheduled or unscripted plug, depending on what we got going on. I've got plenty of people that I can talk about that I've seen their content and do that, but we'll give it maybe another 5 minutes. If for some reason Myers can't join us, then we'll do something. But what else would I? No, other than that, like I said, it's been amazing. It's been amazing how I've even managed to get some really solid friendships out of this. Under circumstances that I don't think I would have ever have met people. And I think I've always said it, that this is one of the awesome things about social media. I know there's a lot of negativities about social media and a lot of things that can be bad, but I don't focus on that. I try to focus on the positive stuff. I mean, I guess just in general, I'm more geared towards that. I don't like to dwell on shit that goes sideways, because it's already happened and I can't fix it. I just rather, live in the moment. What's going on? And so far over. Oh, there it is. Hold on, I got somebody that's joining me. What's up, Jay?
So far. Hey! Oh, there it is. What happened? I got somebody that's joining.
I don't know.
Where's Michael Myers at?
Well, at this point, I'm kind of afraid he's gonna pop in out of the middle of nowhere and do his thing. I don't want to get stabby.
Stabby. How y'all doing?
Good.
So I was listening, and so I was listening. You was talking about you might do another plugin, and I kind of want to ask you, like, why do you do this? Like, I've been doing this, I've been doing YouTube, whatever, and I've attempted to help people, plug people.
Yeah.
With some serious, you're somebody who I would consider, that is a good experience for me. And then there's been others that's been just terrible experiences. What's up, Mama? What happened? All right, now what you want? All right, I'll be right back. She bribes me with kisses, but I'm very standoffish these days.
Yeah, well, when you get burned a few times, I can see that happening. But your involvement has always been a lot more intense. And go deal with what you got to do. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Let me put this on. Hold up, Mama. Let me turn it up. No, she wants me to do what she wants me to do. She's spoiled as hell.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Why do I do this? Because I know what it's like to have somebody acknowledge what you're doing. Because at the end of the day, we do this because we're seeking some acknowledgement. I mean, why else would you be putting out a video if you didn't expect people to leave a comment or a response? And I still remember to this day when I just started out, when people like Funk, people who had a lot more subscribers than I did, would just say, "Hey, I liked your video." As a content creator who's starting out, to me, that was very significant. That gave me encouragement. That gave me, even though I knew I wasn't at the level of some of these content creators, I'm still not. I'm still nowhere near, like the editing quality of Fathom Aquatics. That's, to be honest, I don't think I'm ever going to attain that level of editing ability. One, because I don't I have a lack of interest in doing it. And I know that frustrates the shit out of Alex and my friends. Um, but I think I found that vlogging is kind of more of my style. Um, maybe even if, when I vlog, I should edit a lot of those awkward silences and the ums. And I get YouTube, all you guys that post content, you know that YouTube will give you these workshops and things to help you out. And and but I don't know. I just not interested in that. I'm more interested in doing my own thing how I want to do it, like Jim says, you know, do the hobby your way, which I 100% agree with. Um, it's just it's not that's not who, who I am, and it's not necessarily what I want to do. I don't want to spend 8 hours of the day trying to edit a video, trying to get rid of all the ums and the awkward pauses or the misspoken words. I don't want to do it. I don't have time for that. I'll record it. I mean, you guys get my editing skills are you get a bullshit ass intro with a thumbnail, a picture of my logo, and a little piece of intro music, and the outro is exactly the same thing. That's the level of the editing that I'm willing to do and wanting to do. And by no way am I gonna pay for somebody to do editing for me either, because I'm not that serious about it.
All right.
He's
I
back.
apologize. I
No, you're good.
apologize. So a lot of you guys know my daughter's autistic, and she loves these strawberry shortcake cakes. And if we don't hide them, she'll eat all of them. So we hide them. And she knows they're there. Only might have hit them somewhere. I don't know where she hit them. So she was beast, and she was like, "I know they're here, sucker. I ain't gonna let you go that easy." So I had to find them. But so yeah, I know you probably already answered the question, and I was like, why do you care? Why do you care, Mexicali? Who cares? Do your own thing. Like I'm just devil's advocate, you know.
Yeah, no, that is my own thing, because I know how important it was to me to have other content creators that had more subscribers than me
Mhm.
acknowledge what I was doing.
Yeah.
That was always a huge motivator for me. Plus, I've been discovering a lot of these channels that I personally feel they're even way further ahead of the skills that I have, whether it's in knowledge, whether it's in editing and all that stuff. And it's not that I don't want this to sound pretentious, but I've been able to garnish or gather a certain audience that I think that if I bring these people and expose them to the community, you know, it gives them an opportunity to somebody to look at them besides myself. And if the people like what they're doing, then they might get some subscribers out of it. It's no guarantee, but at any exposure you're given when you're a smaller channel is big. It's big time. It's amazing how much it helps and how much it motivates you to continue.
It is. And to be honest with you, you know, I'm kind of jaded
Yeah.
when it comes to channels that, you know, ask for help or whatever. I've helped a lot of people, and I've noticed two things has happened. One is they just wanted me to kind of just tell all my subscribers, go subscribe to them because they're me and me's them. We're the same. So you need to subscribe to this channel. They're not gonna do anything extra. They're
Yeah.
not gonna provide. They're not gonna learn how to edit better. They're not gonna learn what you want. They just subscribe to them because I said so. And that's where I start having an issue. You know what I mean? And then there's a lot of people who I've helped that just really wasn't prepared for what it takes to not go crazy. I don't want to say be successful because there's different levels of success. You know what I mean? It just depends on what you consider success is. Do you consider getting a silver plaque success? Do you consider, you know, quitting your job success, or do you just want to pay just a mortgage bill? That's my personal goal. But there's a lot of people get frustrated because and it's their fault. It's 100% their fault because I tell them, go check your analytics, figure out figure out what's best for you, and they kind of don't want to do it, so they end up doing live streams all the damn time, thinking that's the answer. No, it's trying to do it right is work, man.
Yeah, you got to be fully invested. I was having a conversation last night that it's people sometimes are not grounded in reality, and a lot of people think that they really want to go this route to make it a living because they think that their hobby is what they want to do. Well, sometimes a hobby quits being a hobby when it becomes a job.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing this from channels, the bigger channels like KG Tropicals. I see it even with Aquarium Co-op, with the King of DIY. Once you become and you make this your 100% sole source of income, it becomes a lot more challenging because now it's not like you can lay back and say, all right, I don't know what to do a video on, so I'm just going to let it slide. And once I get an idea, I'll pop in here. No, you're constantly having to come up with a twist or a new take on videos and content. And that could be pretty taxing. I don't know a single business owner who doesn't work more for themselves trying to get their business up and running than when they had a 9 to 5. When you have a 9 to 5, you clock in, you clock out, and that's it. It's over. When you're trying to create a business for yourself, it's 24/7 that you're working. There is no time off, whether it's making calls or whatever.
I agree to most of what you're saying. The one part I don't disagree with, but I think I have a different idea is once you like you said, once you decide that this is what you want to do as a living, it gets harder. I actually kind of think it's the opposite. I think once you say, F it, I'm going all in, bills be damned, family be damned, relationships be damned, I feel like there's a certain amount of clarity you have, regardless if it's like socially it's healthy or not, because I don't think it is. Like I got a family, I could never do that. I see people who's made it and they've had two things that they've kind of got going for them. One is they've totally abandoned their personal life. I don't care about what my wife says. I don't care about this. I'm going all in on this. Yeah. And the other one is your significant other, or if they're young and they don't have a family, they live at home or some crap like that. You know what I mean? But they don't have obligations. The other one is if you do have a significant other, they're lockstep, you know what I'm saying, with you on it.
Yeah.
I feel like so Maida, she's cool with this, but she's not about this, and she's like, So it's difficult for me because when I make a decision, it's always kind of like a fight, not necessarily a fight, but it's always like, well, this or that. Where if she was part of this, like all in, then she would be like, yeah, let's go for it. But really, that's not the case for me. And I am not willing to say, hey, I'm not going to pay my bills. I don't care if I have to, spend all my time away from my daughters. So I do believe like it's more difficult having one foot in and one foot out. Definitely more difficult, in my opinion.
Well, and that's precisely part of that conversation that I was having, is that it would be great if like these bigger channels that have gotten to that point would have the real conversation of all the sacrifices that are made to get to that point.
There is a lot of sacrifice.
I also understand why it's not done, because the minute they do that is you're going to have a certain section of that community is going to be, oh, he's trying to make us feel sorry for him. And he's, living the life, making all this money, all this and this and that. There's always, you're never going to please everybody, but it would be very enlightening, I guess, for the people that are serious about trying to pursue this, that they understand what is entailed to do this 100%. And it's tough because, and I'm not even talking about our genre. I think it was last year or the beginning of this year, a lot of the big channels that were on YouTube were quitting, and it was almost like epidemic, because all of a sudden one of them dropped out, and then you had like a series of of people that were calling it quits. Because and the common denominator on that was they started out, they didn't have any relationships.
Mhm.
Along the way, they build a family, and they realize they don't want to sacrifice that time from
Yeah.
what they have at home.
Yeah.
And but they're obviously, these channels have over 100,000 subscribers, so yeah, they're not going to be able to make the income when they're constantly doing videos, but at least they had a base that would allow them to try something different. You know, they know that they're going to be okay because they have this residual income that's going to be coming from their evergreen videos. But
Yeah.
now it's granted them an opportunity to shift gears and go do something different that might be a little bit more satisfying and not as taxing as what they're currently doing. But yeah, it's just to get to
Mhm.
the level that is required to make this sustainable. You really have to invest in the latest
Yeah.
trends.
Well,
Become very good at editing.
yeah, I definitely think I feel like YouTube is also a part of the problem with and I know some of you guys may be like, oh, Funk, F you, you're gatekeeping. I'm not gatekeeping. I'm not. I've just seen the results with the quotas on what it takes to be monetized. They've lowered that. What it takes to be able to have a live stream, they lowered that. And listen to my logic on this. When I started out, it was all higher. Be monetized, you had to be higher up. To do this, you had to be higher up. A lot of the perks, you had to have higher views and subscribers and watch time and all that stuff. And they've lowered all of that. Now, the problem I've seen, and I'm not saying I'm mad because I had to do it, you have to do it. I've seen channels that I enjoyed run into mental and emotional issues because now they have access to channel membership, they have access to monetization, they have access to live streaming, they have access to all this stuff, and they think, I've made it. No, you haven't. Whereas when I was doing it and you had to reach a higher threshold, you kind of went through a lot of trials and tribulations to get to that threshold. So when you're there, you had a better grasp of, what's next or what to expect. But when they give you all that at such a low, bar, I think people are a little mistaken as to where they at. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
You follow me?
but
Like I felt like the time it took to get to that higher threshold was healthier for their mental stability as far as the reality of YouTube. That's what I'm saying. I just felt like that.
here's the thing though, and I don't really hear this talked about a lot, but you got to understand, we're putting content on on a on a media source that generates revenue, and that generates revenue off of your content that you're putting out. That's how they make their
Yeah,
revenue.
yeah,
Now, the reason they do that is because they figured that the way to encourage people to continue to generate content is if they entice you with these little crumbles of monetization,
little perks. Yeah,
yeah. So
yeah,
their idea is the more we can get people doing this stuff, the more we're going to be able to run ads and create a source of revenue for the company.
you're
That's really
you're
what it is.
100%. You're 100% correct. 100% correct. But mentally, I've seen it really take a toll on some of the smaller YouTubers because they felt they finally made it. Their channel is about to explode. All they have to do is live stream all the time. That's all you have to do is live stream all the time, and you'll have so many subscribers, and then you'll have. YouTube don't care how many subscribers you got. If you're live streaming all the time, you're keeping people on the platform all the time. That's all they care about, So, um, I just feel like it does a disservice to the small creator that really has something to offer, but they get mind plucked. I'm trying to be a little bit more tactful on your channel because you have a higher clientele. It's the same clientele, but they come over to my channel and they get all hood ratty. They come over here, they go, but so I'm trying not to curse.
Oh no, you can let it fly here if you want. I don't care.
But I feel like it takes a toll on them because they didn't have to do all the they didn't have to do the mass amounts of videos to reach that threshold. They did a very minimal amount of videos and they got monetized. Oh, so I'm doing good. This is what I'm doing. No, you still got to work on, your editing. You still got to work on your messaging. You still got to work on, the way you present yourself. You still got to work on your videography. But because they got so many perks so fast, to them, they're doing well. And really, dude, it's never stopped. It never stops with the growing individual growth of your channel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's skills.
And that's the whole thing. If any of the successful channels that are out there, and I'm not just talking about the hobby, I'm talking about in general all of YouTube. There's a progression that you see happening during the course of their time on YouTube, and there's always these little incremental improvements because very few people. And I think in today, well, that's not even true. I think in today's YouTube, it is possible to come in and be successful off the bat because there's so many resources to prepare you to do that.
There is,
but that also implies a lot of work, a lot of time. I know you and I have had this conversation with Caveman Aquatics that you've always felt that the guy really did his research before coming into YouTube.
That's what it looks like to me. Yeah, I feel like he had a plan,
and that's why he's been able to accomplish what he's done because he put in the work. At least that's what it appears to you. I'm not experienced enough, and I haven't done this long enough to pick up on that. But you've been doing this for a lot longer than me, for sure.
Yeah. When I look at Caveman's trajectory and his first video starting out, he's been pretty consistent as the type of YouTuber. I mean, there's always slight changes here and there, but he's been pretty consistent. So I can't help but think that he came in with an idea, a plan, a course of action on where he wanted to go, what his goal was, and how he felt he was going to get there. I do feel like he did that. Whether he did or didn't, I don't know. I don't know him that well. But I know if I were to start over again, or if I could go back in time and go like, whose channel can I look at and go, this is how I kind of want to go about it. It would definitely be Caveman's. Now, I wouldn't necessarily have the same goal as he did. That whole corporate thing, is a turnoff to a lot of people. It's not necessarily something that I find attractive, but if it was a company that I believed in, then I'd be all about it. Maybe he believes in CCAM, I don't know. But here's a good example of what I'm talking about, of having to do the work and having to do that. So Cichlid Hut, which I hope you would get on here someday. I know I'm gonna try and get him on mine. Yeah. Cichlid Hut has 1,029K, right? With 206 videos. There are and they're straight, they're videos. I mean, yeah, he does shorts and stuff like that, but he has a decent catalog of long form videos on a subject that he is passionate about, which is Central American cichlids. He does plywood tanks, large plywood tanks. He's very knowledgeable on Central American cichlids. Now, the only problem I see with Cichlid Hut is, and it's not a problem, it's just his choice of Central American cichlids, and it's not a choice, it's what he's into, isn't really registering with the algorithm in the fish genre right now. But as far as a channel, I feel like he got the videos, he knows who he is. Now, if you came up the same time Cichlid Hut did and you went a totally different route, I'm gonna do live streaming. Well, you could get to more than 1,000 subs faster, easier. So if Cichlid Hut were to come in, like let's say me and him came together and we both came in at the same time, and all I did was live streams and shorts and stuff like that, and I raised my my sponsors, my subs. Cichlid Hut would look at me and be like, well, maybe I'm doing it wrong. Let me do it the way he's doing it. But I feel like Cichlid Hut has a better idea of what it takes to do this long term than the person who live streams, you know?
Yeah.
Because I have done live streams. I haven't really seen any, except for super chats. I don't see any financial advantage. And I know a lot of people say, I'm not in it for the money. I don't 100% agree with that. But I do believe live streaming only, there's a serious cap. I have yet to see anybody just live stream who, once they hit about 3,000, just pitter out. Unless they start doing that paid advertising thing. But if they were doing just live streaming, once they hit around 3,000 subscribers, they kind of stay there forever. But I can see where somebody would be jealous and want to change over and be like, well, I'm going to do what they did because it works. Only to a point.
Well, and look, there's a couple of things I want to address. One of them was the whole thing with Cichlid Hut. I think what happened is, and this is what in the short time that I've been doing this, I noticed that the hobby goes through cycles. You know, there'll be a moment. Yeah. I remember when I first started watching, it seems like every other channel was about monster fish.
Yes, that's when I started. Yeah,
you know,
Central Big. Yeah,
and that was like the most popular thing, and that was, you know, went on for a while, and then it turned. It went into other fish, and right now, I guess you could say it's a little bit more like plants in aquariums, and the, you know, that's kind of where it's not all that, but I mean, that's you see that more often than when I don't see monster fish videos anymore, really, coming up on my feed. But that
unfortunately
could also be,
me either.
Yeah, but that could also be because of what I am currently seeking. So the algorithm thinks, okay, he doesn't like monster fish tags, so let's not send him videos of that. We'll send him videos of what he seems to be constantly looking for. So that could be a little bit misleading in my case, where I think that the hobby kind of goes through cycles. But the reason I'm feel a little bit confident of that is because of the community that I'm involved with. Yeah. And I see where the trends go. And I remember there was also a time where you couldn't turn on YouTube and not see videos about African cichlids. Yeah. Everybody had African cichlids. Yeah. And these are not knocks on anybody that was doing that. It's just patterns that I've noticed of where it goes.
I agree.
And you know, it just kind of, and if you're creating content and your goal is to become a big channel, then you get caught up in trying to follow the trend.
I'm guilty of that. I'm 100% guilty of that. I've done that where I was like, oh, let me try this because that seems to be what people are all about. And I have been so disappointed in myself, in my fish keeping, you know, where I look at places like Tabata, Big Fish Lad, and Cichlid Hut, and I envy. I'm like, oh, I want that fish, you know. So yeah, it's true. Now, here's another thing I'm going to bring up to you. Out of curiosity, I want your thoughts. Is it that fish keepers as a whole have kind of went away from big fish, or is it because YouTube is such the genre of fish keeping, because we're all under pets and animals, right? Which I feel like is I don't okay, if somebody was into pets and animals, which I think a lot more people are into dogs and cats, you know, they're never going to get airplay in fish, because people don't really look at fish as pets and animals unless you're a fish keeper. Yeah. But like other genre, like bird keepers, you know, they don't look at it. So I feel like in the genre of fish keeping, the algorithm lumps in monster fish along with planet tanks, and I feel like those are two completely different genres. You know what I'm saying? But because there's a lot of people into planet tanks and not as many into monster fish, that if you're on there and you look anything tanks of aquariums, it's going to throw all these planet tank videos at you, even if you don't want them, but to the point where you get curious and you click because it's a clickbait. Now you're stuck with getting all these damn planet clickbait freaking videos, and you get your whole monster fish genre gets pushed out. That's what happened to me.
Yeah.
And I've literally been actively erasing or unsubscribing channels that are planet tanks or nano tanks or stuff like that. Not everybody, but just ones that I know I don't watch, that I sub to out of the niceness of my heart, and trying to force my personal algorithm to push monster fish at me.
Yeah, and I think also what happens is that with monster fish, you're even creating a smaller niche within a narrow niche of the hobby.
Yes, yeah,
And the reason I say that is because as much as people might want to keep a monster fish, it's not within everybody's capability because they require these bigger tanks. How crazy is it that to be able to properly keep some of these fish, you got to convert your pool into an aquarium? You know, that's how big these fish really do get. And not everybody has either the place to put a big tank, whether they might have the money to do it. You might not be in a situation where you can do that where you're currently living because it's not your property or you're renting or whatever the case is.
Yo, I got hit. She's over here. Something's wrong.
Yeah. Go. So I think that's why it kind of fell out of favor. I know a lot of people enjoyed watching it. I occasionally will go watch somebody that's doing that because it's pretty interesting to see how they go about it. That's one of the reasons why I find Aquarium Domains channels so interesting, because you start seeing what giving these fish a better, I wouldn't even say the proper, because the proper is where they live in nature, but giving them a much better situation for them to be in, that you start seeing these behaviors you normally don't see when they're kept in a smaller confined space like this. I equate it to no different than human beings locked up in cages. You know, you want to turn somebody into a worse version of who they are, put them in a cage, confine them. It's going to change that person, and not always for the better. As a matter of fact, very, very seldom will they come out a better person than when they went in. It's the same thing with these guys, with these fish. I mean, they do require some big, and not everybody can do that. So I think that's why people will as much as they would want to, or there's a lack of knowledge. Although in today's society, or in today's saturated media, where there's an abundance of information, I still don't understand why people would not do a little bit of research before they get in. And I think a lot of it, what happens is there's a misunderstanding on your true situation, because I've seen it so many times. People will go buy a red-tailed catfish, for example. They'll put it in a 150-gallon aquarium that they have, and they think, oh yeah, this is only going to be temporary because eventually I'm going to get a 300 and be able to put them in there. And you know, a lot of people that have kept the bigger fish, that's a common theme that happens when they're keeping monster fish. They buy it, and before they know it, that fish has grown so quick that they were ill prepared to be able to do the next upgrade. And they get into a situation where now all of a sudden you have a fish that is way too big for the space you have them, and they're having to find a situation, how to remedy that situation. And I think a lot of it, what happens is, even though they understand that could potentially be a problem, they're not necessarily really understanding how quickly they're going to have to address that issue, and they're not prepared for that. They think that they have more time than they actually have to get into that. Where I think the appeal currently with the smaller the smaller aquariums, the community aquariums, the nano, whatever you want to call it, the planet, it's made it to the point where even if you live in a little studio apartment, there's a way that you can still keep a small aquarium and still participate in the hobby. I think that's what the appeal has been with the current trend, is that it allows a lot more people to be participants, which is good. That's great. That's what we've always wanted. That's how you get the hobby to grow. And I don't think so much that is people don't like the bigger fish or the monster fish. It's just that they realize, okay, I can probably keep a 2-gallon aquarium. We can all find a bookshelf. We can all find a windowsill somewhere where we could put, hey, Jose, where we can put a small 2.5-gallon aquarium and add some shrimp, some plants, and create this little microorganism. I mean, micro ecosystem, and be able to still participate in the hobby. And I think that's the change that has happened. And I think that's one of the reasons why this trend has lasted a little bit longer, because it allows you to be a little bit more involved if you want to get started. Now, is there challenges with having of course there's challenges with having a smaller aquarium, especially if you don't stay on top of things, because things can go bad much quicker. Now, the difference is it's a lot easier to do the maintenance on something that's smaller, because it would only take you a few minutes to do it, and stay on top of it, versus if you're having to drain out a 300-gallon aquarium. I know also you guys that keep those big aquariums, you're talking about a few hours to be able to do an entire maintenance on one of those aquariums, because you could only draw water out as quickly as you have, the siphon hose or the pump that you're running will allow you to do that. And not everybody has an auxiliary pump to be able to help you do that. A lot of us do it by gravity and things like that. So I think that's why the trend has shifted to the smaller aquariums and more of the planet, because it allows you to be a participant. And if you're somebody that enjoys plants, well, guess what? Now you can also keep them in the water box, and excuse me, and be able to do that too. So, but I know in the last plug that I did, I was talking about one of the cool things that I see is the different hobbies kind of merging together, and I think that's going to continue to happen. As a matter of fact, I've talked about a couple of YouTube channels during the plug, about how they started out, let's say in the plant hobby, and they've kind of worked themselves into the aquarium hobby, because they see a lot of similarities, where now if you were just keeping houseplants, now you can keep houseplants in the water box. And there's a lot of houseplants that I've learned over the, when Steve and I were doing the live streams, he educated me a lot. And he goes, dude, that plant there is exactly this house plant, except because you're buying it for an aquatic plant, it's going to cost you a lot more money. And that was, some of the stuff that I've learned. So, but yeah, I think that's why the hobby has kind of shifted in that direction. And it kind of gone away from the monster fish, just because it requires a lot more to be able to keep them and make sure that they stay good. You're back. Oh, let me see. Let me get Jason back in here. There you are.
All right. I apologize for that. I don't know if that saga is going to be over.
It's okay. This was not people that were coming in and they're going, M.Myers. We're finally get to reveal who M.Myers is.
It's the girl, ain't it? I thought M.Myers was a female for the longest, because I couldn't.
I know.
And this is why, because I had a girlfriend whose initials was, her last name was Myers and her first name was M. So I automatically attributed it to being a female. And I couldn't see that the Michael Myers logo, because it was so little. It was just a blur. So I just said she, and it took me a long time to figure that out. So did you come in? What's up? What are we going with here?
Oh, no, nothing. I just was wrapping up why I think it went from monster fish to some of the planet or community tanks and stuff like that.
I also think the economy has something to do with that too.
Yeah, well, that's a big factor, because if you're living, that's what I'm saying. why I think the appeal was for like the nano side of it, because you can
Yeah,
live in a studio and set up a 2.5 gallon aquarium and
yeah,
probably find a place to put it
yeah,
and
yeah.
allow you to participate in the hobby.
And that's exactly the reason why I don't have a large tank. I could easily have a large tank, but I don't have the room to put it. And like, always worried about, having to think about, well, what if I move next year? It's kind of like, oh, man, I don't feel like setting up not even 125, knowing that it's only going to be up for 12 months. I don't want to do it.
Yeah. Well,
You
that's the
know?
other thing too with that you quickly find out when you start going above a 75 gallon is that
Yeah.
you're going to need somebody to help you move it. I mean,
Yeah.
there's people that can move a 125 by themselves, but there's not that many people.
Yeah. I
Or
mean, I've done it. It hasn't been easy. There's a
no.
lot of wood, and stilts and things involved. But it's not easy. It's not easy. But I think also the economy had a lot to do with the downfall of Monster Edge. But back to the point of channels. I've seen a lot of good channels out there. One channel that I really like, and I think is very, very, very underrated, and I kind of know why they're not as big as they are. I think Stefan is freaking awesome.
Yeah.
I love Stefan. You know what I'm saying? Lush and salty.
Yeah.
Um, but I think Stefan's Achilles heel is that he's not willing to put tanks in every nook and cranny and every week go, I got a new tank set up. He's he's cool with what he has. You know what I'm saying? He'll put up a new tank here and there, but it's not going to be ridiculous. I do
But you
think.
know what? That is
Hmm,
not necessarily true, because if you go think about Fu the Flower Horn, he only had one tank. And it was like a not even a 20 gallon. It was like a 15-gallon tank that he had. And but
yeah, but he was also
granted,
doing DIY stuff back in the day.
yeah.
He's
Well, yeah.
another a lot of these channels that are big now and they continue to grow. I feel like a lot of them came in at the right time and now they're just rolling under their own steam. You know what I'm saying? Um, and he was a DIY. I Flew the Flower Home was kind of a DIY. Um, and that was back when everybody was broke as hell when DIY first came out. And I feel now it's just kind of just like growing under its own steam. Um, but but I love Stefan's channel because he's relatable. He doesn't have he lives in a small, he doesn't live in a humongous house. And his, like, I love the fact that he goes, yeah, this, I hate when he kind of says it apologetically, but it's like, yeah, this tank is overstocked. You're like, hell, that's the way people want their tank to be. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, don't be mad at that, Stefan. Like, yeah, that tank is hot. Just explain to people, which he does. The reason why he can get away with it is because he does have
Yeah.
a large amount of biological filtration in there,
Yeah.
being planted. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Being that
Yeah,
is a
and
planted
and
tank.
I think also what sometimes happens is in the pursuit of trying to find that success, a lot of people will fall into the trap that they always have to do something. Every
New,
video has to be a new
new
build,
pickup.
a new
Yep,
fish, a
new
new this,
fish.
a new that,
And it
and
works.
that could get expensive real quick too, though.
And
That's
that's
the
where I
problem.
come in. And that's where I'm saying, whoever these people are that, like, for instance, Boss Aquatics. Boss Aquatics is notorious for getting new crap. He's getting new crap all the time. If you want to see somebody get new stuff every week, go watch Boss Aquatics. I don't know Boss Aquatics' living thing. Like, he might have a girlfriend or a wife or whatever that's all about it and be like, yeah, baby, go ahead and buy that new fish. I don't know. But people love that stuff. If you got a fish room, I'm telling you right now, if you got a fish room and you constantly doing new stuff to it, people love that. But you got to be financially secure to live in a place where you can have these fish and large tanks or multiple tanks on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So I look at channels that have fish rooms and I see where I'm like, oh, you could be so much bigger if you would just learn how to harness the idea of having a fish room. People love living vicariously through other people.
Yeah, because again, that's what I was talking about aquarium domain. That's one of the reasons why I
Oh
love
yeah,
watching,
I
Jeremy's
don't
tanks.
I don't like watching Aquarium Domain. I don't
It
like that guy.
makes you feel
I'm
inadequate.
I'm having fish tank envy. He makes me feel inadequate. The size of his tank makes me feel inadequate. But
But
I say that in
so
all
cool.
respect, though. Yeah,
It's so cool that somebody out there can do it and is willing to
yeah,
share
it
what
is.
they're doing,
It
because
is.
you get to see the aquarium in a whole different light.
Yeah, yeah. But I look at it and be like, man, I want that in my life. Fuck that guy. You know, I'm saying, I would let you know right now. Half the time, if I say F you and your channel, it's because I really, really like it and I want it to be my channel. I'm gonna let y'all know right now. If I'm saying F your channel, it's because I like it. I want it to be my channel. Like Fish Hut, and Aquarium Domain, and even Stefan, because I can't do that stuff. He'd be having some nice planet text, but I can't. I don't have the patience for that.
Yeah.
So if I say F your channel, it's in love.
Oh,
It's a
when I wanted to finish up on Cyclone Hut, I think what happens is because he's been true to what he's been doing since day one.
yeah.
Eventually, this is going to go full circle where it'll catch him on the
You
next
think?
cycle.
You
Yeah, I
think?
think so. I think so.
I hope so. I hope so. I really enjoyed the large monster fish videos. I feel like we had this discussion about um uh uh um hybrids. One of the things I don't think we talked about is how personal, like how they do have individual personalities, whereas a tetra is a tetra is a tetra is tetra.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
But you get these monster fish and they come up to the tank, they get mad at people. I got this flower horn who splashed Mida at one point, splashed her all the damn time, come up to the tank. I don't like you, bitch. Plah! And splash her with water. Bit mean, but my daughter, Mia, will run back and forth in front of the tank, and here's the flower horn following her. Where you don't get that from Tetris, but
Well, and you got to see that also. Yeah, there's just fish that become. That's what I was saying last time. One of the reasons why, one, I my fish keeping is a little different because I like to have multiple species in one tank, but I understand the appeal of having these big fish is because they no longer are fish; they become pets. That's the one side of the aquatic side where if you have a Oscar, you have a flower horn, you have some of these bigger fish, they 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 become a pet because they have personality. I knew you wanted to say something.
did you want to talk about Salient's last comment? Because I don't know if I can talk about it without getting acting biased, but I think that's that particular channel. Funk's dropping videos while I'm streaming. They're all pre whatchamacallit. All right, so Salient asked, yeah.
No, go ahead. You can address it.
Always wondered why IFG did so well. One of the first, let me know. All right. I could only tell you my particular take on IFG, which I just to put it out there, can't stand the dude can't stand me. Boom, there it is. Whatever. There's a whole lot involved in that, but aside from the fact, when I first got into fish keeping, let's be real, the first channel that kind of was pushed on me, when I not fish keeping but YouTube, there was a couple of channels that I really liked, but the second one that always got pushed on me, the third one that always got pushed on me was King of DIY. And then from looking around, I came across IFG. As a minority, he was the only one. And then I started watching DSW Darius, but he was the only minority that was doing FishTube, or the biggest minority doing FishTube. So a lot of minorities automatically sub to him out of default. Minority, ooh, me, yeah. But it wasn't until you start watching him that you'd be like, oh, this guy's a piece of crap. And one of the reasons why I think he no longer does anything no more is because he felt a certain. This is my personal opinion, though. I'm not putting this on anybody. I felt like you did have channels that were minority channels, and he kind of felt like he was the minority king. Like if you was a minority and you was watching FishTube, you had to be his. He actually wrote a comment like that when I made a comment on a channel, a black dude's channel. He was like, "This guy's mine." What the fuck? But I think Caveman was a big problem for him because he saw Caveman rise so fast and surpass him that he felt a certain type of way and just kind of disappeared. But the reason why I think he got so big, being one of the first, was because he was the only minority really doing it at the time, and people just minorities subbed to him out of default. But that's why. No. So there's a time where large channels can just totally striving to get more subs and become big. They kind of shoot themselves in the foot by doing shady stuff, you know?
Yeah, I think I never really got into his channel because I think the first time I came across one of his videos, he was ripping on somebody.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like he was
like, what's going on here?
Well, when I first started watching him, he was pretty African cichlid, and then he kind of moved into monster fish, which okay, yeah, I get the the correlation. But he also noticed that there was a trend moving away from those fish, and he tried to hop on that train, but it was so obvious that he was false in a lot of things he was saying, purposely false. And then when that didn't work, he kind of went into negative, which I struggle myself with not being too negative with other people, but I just call things like I see it, and it comes off as negative. I get it. I totally get it. So I got to watch myself.
Yeah. Wait,
yeah.
I'm responding. I can't type and speak at the same time. I'm not that gifted. No, just thanking Moose for dropping the link for Bill Strand. I have to go check him out. I don't think I've come across that channel yet. But I'm definitely intrigued now, and I'll go see it. Yeah, no, it's just it's crazy because it's an ever changing cycle with YouTube, and it's probably one of the hardest things to figure out what it is that's going to become popular next. You can kind of get some hints here and there, but I don't know how much in reality the bigger channels have an influence as to what becomes popular or not.
I don't, and I think it's a double-edged. I think there's multiple factors, because, like we said, the fish keeping hobby in YouTube is such a small genre that the big channels, just by people going, "Oh snap, Corey did a video. Oh snap, Paul Gaffaro did a video. Oh snap," which I don't really consider Paul Gaffaro a fish keeping hobby channel, but oh, so and so did it, that it gets pushed more because just by the volume of their subscribers, if 10% of those subscribers click on a video, it's a lot more than what they clicking on my video. Their 10% is a lot more than what they're clicking on my videos. So I feel like that YouTube, the algorithm goes, "Oh, this is what people want," because there's so many of them. Nah, I think that's just it's just the sheer volume of 10%. Clicking is so much overwhelming compared to all of our other channels. I mean, I'm looking at the people right here. 10% of their videos would totally overwhelm all of our videos combined.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's why and that's why I feel like a lot of it is the algorithm, the YouTube, and YouTube isn't really going to pay too much attention to the fish keeping hobby because it's such a small genre. It's not a big money maker for YouTube. I feel like live stream should be separate. I don't really enjoy watching too many live streams, but because I'm in the fish keeping genre, I get inundated with a lot of fish keeping live streams that I never watch. That's the thing. I never watch some of these channels, but because I watch fish videos, I keep getting pushed with these live streamers, whereas I really want to watch videos. All right.
Yeah.
Monster fish videos to be exact.
Yeah, it's just it's I know you're always getting on my ass because I don't do enough videos. You and Alex, boy, between you and Alex, you guys hound me all the time about doing more videos and when are you going to do a video?
Or if
Uh,
you do a video, it's like actually like 3 videos in one. You're trying to
yeah,
overcompensate, and I'm like,
that's the
bro,
big
cut
pet
that
peeve.
video up, man.
That's the one thing that see. That's I don't know. I guess because I like you said, I go so long without doing a video that when I do one, I'm trying. My biggest problem, and I know you've given me the formula to script it to do this,
That's
do
just how
the
I do it.
notes.
How I do it. Yeah,
Yeah,
not for
I
everybody.
yeah, I'm too fucking lazy. Everything I've ever done has been on the moment, whether I've had success or not. That's
I gotta go.
yeah,
I
go.
got. I got. I'm gonna go ahead and cut because I think she's not. This is something I'm gonna
Yeah,
have to
I'm
deal
not
with
gonna
for a
stay
while.
much longer because I've
All
been
right,
BSing this entire time.
but I
Uh,
appreciate you having me up, man.
yeah. No,
Later.
thanks for coming out, man. I appreciate
All
that.
right.
And you know, I know for those of you that are coming in, I'm sorry. I did schedule it as having a guest on today, and it wasn't going to be Funk. Um, uh, it was supposed to be M.Myers. Something must have happened. He's in Belgium though, and I think we must have I must have misunderstood the time difference. Where I think I might have thought it was only 8 hours, but it might be more than 8 hours. It might be like a whole day difference. I'll figure it out. I know he'll reach out, um, and we'll put it back on the board. Hopefully he's fine. Hopefully it's not anything serious, which is um, it's just life happens, man. We can't control what life throws at us, and it is what it is. But yeah, it was one of those things where we're on. I don't know. I don't think there's too much going on today. I didn't do my homework and check to see who was going live this morning. I just knew that I had an opportunity to have M.Myers on, and because of you know the timing, I happened to be off from work today, and I figured, hey, if I'm going to be able to have him on where it's still a reasonable hour for him, today was the day. But we'll see what happens. I know. Let's see. I gotta. By the way, talking about Stefan, I might forget again. I was gonna ask you your thoughts. Oh, on the tour, Brandon. I haven't looked at the video yet because I've been dealing with this. I've been dealing with this whole other can of worms that I opened up, and I've been on the phone um most of yesterday afternoon and definitely this morning. As soon as I woke up, my phone was blowing up. And as a matter of fact, there's still one phone call that I gotta call back on because I told them I would call them and I will. It's just I know that conversation was going to be a little bit longer than the time that I had to do it. Um, and it looks like I got my parents blowing up my phone. Some I need to get that answer that too. Uh, Other than that, I'm sorry that it wasn't what you guys were expecting. Hopefully um I didn't bore you guys too much, and I guess we'll see each other soon, if not in the chats. I do have to schedule my next plug. I've got like 10 different channels that I can talk about, and I'll schedule that and let you guys know. With that being said, I want to thank you guys again for being here and for sticking around, even though I didn't have the guest that I thought I was going to have. Um, hopefully, hopefully there was a takeaway from this, and if not, either way, I just want to say thank you so much for your constant support. And it's see you later. Not I'll catch you guys somewhere along the day, somewhere else. So you guys take care. Enjoy the rest of your day, and take care. I'm rambling. Bye. There we go.